kitchen at White Pines Wellness Center. We're here this morning to talk to you guys about making baby food. I'm just going to ask that if you could step back just a little bit. That way I can remove my mask and it makes it a little bit easier to hear me. Thank you. Just going to set that off to the side. So good morning, it's Arlie Harrison from Health Promotions. I'm the Healthy Lifestyles Coordinator, and this morning we'll be talking to you guys about making our own baby food at home. These are some of the supplies that we will need for all different food groups that we'll be making today. And we also have with us today Heidi. She is our prenatal dietitian. Heidi is standing off to the side, and she'll be discussing and helping to give you guys all kinds of great information on making your own food at home. Next, we're going to be working on our vegetables and fruits. Today we have a few different things we've chosen. We have strawberries, frozen blueberries, avocado, banana, some carrots, a sweet potato, and some frozen green peas.
So fruits and vegetables are really, really important for baby, actually for everybody. They're very nutrient dense with lots of vitamins like vitamin C and minerals like potassium, magnesium. They're good for our muscles and give us energy, and are really, really good at all times of the year, especially when the products, so like strawberries are in season right now, for example. Trying to choose seasonal fruits and vegetables is very beneficial as well.
All right, so next we're going to be working with carrots. So with our carrots, first we're going to give them a wash. So just wash them well, all of our produce. And then it's up to you. You can choose to peel it or not. We're going to peel these ones just because there's some dark marks on them. But if you have some really nice carrots, they might not need to be peeled at all. Next, we're going to chop off the end and we're just going to dice it nicely. If we have any larger chunks, we can cut them a little bit smaller so that they cook quicker. Put it all into our bowl, and then we're going to put it into boiling water to cook. Okay, so now here we're at the stove. We have boiling water and we're going to put our carrots inside. Now we're just going to let them boil until they're soft. All right, so our carrots have been boiling for a few minutes and now they're nice and soft. If you take a spoon and press on them, you'll see that they easily chop in half. And they're nice and soft, so they're ready to be pureed. So we have our carrots. I'm just going to use a slotted spoon and we're going to pour them into our container again. And the same way we did with our meat, we can use some of the liquid. So you'll see the cooking liquid has changed color. So some of the vitamins and nutrients are in here now. We're going to add them in to our carrot. Try to keep as much as we can together so that it keeps all the nutrients all together for baby. Just going to add our lid. Again, remember to let it cool down a little bit so it's not too hot in here. Nice and bright orange. As you can see, we didn't let them cool down quite enough. They're a little bit steamy, so make sure that they're cool just so that you don't get burnt. And there's a nice carrot puree for baby. Next, we're going to work with our sweet potato. So our sweet potato or yam can be used. We're just going to peel it first. Good. Once it's all peeled, I usually take the ends off just because they get a little dry. And then the same, we're going to slice it and dice it up so that it can be cooked. When we're cooking our sweet potato or yam, we can either steam it, boil it, or you can steam it in the microwave as well. When steaming it in the microwave, you're just going to add a little bit of water to the bowl and put the sweet potato in there and put it in the microwave to cook till it's soft. Today we're going to boil them though. Again, we're going to dice them up nice and small so that they cook quickly. The larger the potato, the longer it's going to take to cook. All right, so here we are at the stove again. Our sweet potato is ready to go into our nice boiling water. Very carefully, we're going to put it in to make sure we don't get splashed. And we're just gonna let them boil until they're soft. Okay, so now again, we're gonna scoop our sweet potato into our container so that we can puree. And we're gonna add a little bit of the cooking liquid in. Some of the thicker vegetables, you might have to give them a shake if you're using a small blender like this. So you can shake it up and put it back on. I'm gonna take the lid off. And check. So with sweet potato too, you can use a regular potato masher or a fork to mash them as well. The sweet potato is usually a baby's favorite. It's a great food, lots of vitamins, lots of vitamin C, and it gets a really good consistency for baby too. And that's our sweet potato. Great, next we're gonna move on to our peas. So today we've chosen frozen peas. Any frozen vegetable can be used, and we're gonna cook it in the microwave. So we're just gonna pour some peas out. And add a little bit of water to the bottom. And then we're gonna bring it over to the microwave. All right, so we're gonna put it in the microwave. And we're just gonna cook it for about 1 minute to 2 minutes at a time, just to give it some time to make sure that we're cooking them, okay? And we can stir them in between. Our peas are all cooked, they're nice and warm. You'll see there's extra water in the bottom. That's okay, we can always add it back in if we need it. So we're just gonna spoon our peas into our magic bullet cup. And again, we can use any blender to do this. A magic bullet, a baby bullet, a regular blender, food processor, all of them will work. Remember just to give them 1 minute to cool down so they're not too hot inside here when you're pureeing. So you can see our peas come out a really nice green color. If you've ever seen store-bought peas, jarred baby food, they are more of a grayish green, and these guys come out and they're nice and bright green. So again, this is a nice smooth texture, probably for a baby that's just starting out eating. So it does have a little bit of texture to it. It's not completely smooth, but it's not super chunky either. That's our peas. Next, we're gonna move on to our strawberries. So remember, we were just talking about having things that are in season. So the time of year when we're filming this is strawberry season, so we're gonna use some of those. So first, with all of our produce, we're always going to wash it. So with our strawberries, we're gonna do them a few different ways. So remember, when baby's first starting out, things need to be nice and smooth. And then once they start to get a little more advanced with eating, we can make things have a little more texture for them. So we're gonna hull them like we normally would. So the first one we're gonna do is we're going to do a mash. So we can do this with a fork, and we're just gonna mash them out. When we mash the fruit, that gives our babies an opportunity to work on their fine motor skills. They can pick them up and eat them with their hands. Once babies are, 7, 8 months old, they like to do things on their own, so this would give them a good opportunity to self-feed something. Once your baby gets past the mashing phase, then we can chop. So you can chop them into small bite-sized pieces for them. Remember, babies' throats are very tiny, and we need to make sure that the pieces are tiny that they won't choke on them. So we're gonna chop them up nice and small. Again, once baby's maybe 10 to 12 months old, these are nice chunks that they can pick up and self-feed as well. And then our last method for our smaller babies, we're going to puree. Adding a little bit of water. Almost like strawberry juice. So this one might have a little bit too much water. If it's too liquidy, we can always add in some more strawberries. We'll add a couple just because we've made it too runny. A little bit thicker. So all of these different fruits too, you can add them in. So babies can also eat yogurt after 6 months of age. So if you're using any plain Greek yogurt or plain yogurt, you can add this in to add a little bit of flavor. So there's some strawberry puree. You can also add the strawberry to applesauce or pear sauce as well, to mix those things up also. So there's some strawberries, 3 different ways. Next, we're moving on to our blueberries. Blueberries aren't quite in season, so we've chosen frozen blueberries today. For frozen blueberries, just be careful because they will stain. So I usually use a spoon when I'm scooping them in. So we let them defrost a little bit. We don't want to use fully frozen berries because they won't puree as well. If your baby is bigger, again, you can use some of these smaller blueberries and they can pick them up with their finger and self-feed as well. I'm going to add a little bit of water. All right, they look pretty good. So remember, we can make them whatever consistency your baby needs. So again, when babies are first starting out, they'll need something a little more smooth because they're learning how to swallow. Up until that point, they've probably only had breast milk, formula, or maybe a little bit of water. So now they're learning how to swallow solid foods. So here's our blueberry puree. Again, this one's nice and smooth. You can add it into yogurt or applesauce as well, or feed it on its own. It's also a good thing that you can add once they've had some meat. You can add some fruit in with that as well. That's our blueberries. So we have these beautiful bananas. Bananas are great. They're awesome. You can throw them in your diaper bag and take it with you. They are a to-go food and a no-cook. So we're gonna peel our banana. And we have a couple different ways that we can use it. Let's see if this one will do it. Might be too hard. So if you squeeze a banana, it's going to automatically kind of divide up into sections. So it divides up into 3 different sections like this. And when your baby's bigger, you can give them one section and they can eat it just like that in their hand. Yes, it's going to be messy, but that's okay. That's part of babies learning to explore and enjoy food. So that's one way we can do it, is divide it up like that. If your baby's a little bit smaller and you'd like to mash it, you can just use a fork. Again, mash it up. You can mash it as much or as little as you need, and make it puree that way as well. So remember, with all the different textures that babies have, sometimes the baby will spit up or they will gag while they're eating, and it's not always necessary that they're that they dislike what they're eating or the taste of it. It might just be that texture. So it's, again, them learning how to swallow and having different food textures go down their throat versus just having a liquid. And always make sure that you're feeding your baby while you're in the room with them and they're not left to sit and eat on their own. Just because when they are learning those different swallowing techniques while they're eating, it puts them at great risk for choking. So this is our nice, very simple banana. Okay, next we have our avocado. An avocado is another great no-cook food for baby. Avocados have lots of really good fats in them for baby as well, so they make a great food. So if you've never used an avocado, there's a big pit inside, so we're gonna cut all the way around. So your avocado is gonna break half in 2. Again, like I said, there's a pit. We're gonna leave that side. If you're only using half of the avocado, leave the pit inside and it'll help it to stay fresh and from turning brown. They're kind of like a banana, they'll turn brown really quickly. Next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna score the inside of your banana. Just be careful it doesn't go straight through, and then we're just gonna use a spoon to scoop it all out. There we go. So it scoops out kind of like a squash, the same way a squash would have an outer skin that we don't use. The avocado is an outer skin that we're not going to use. So as you can see inside, nice and green. Make sure they're ripe. So when you're choosing an avocado, you want to be able to squeeze it a little bit. Usually when you buy them in the store, they're not ripe yet. Bring them home for a couple days and they'll ripen up. So with the avocado, we're gonna mash it with a fork again, the same way that we did with the banana. Once our avocado is all mashed up, again, you can choose your consistency. If you want it a little more liquidy or runny or smooth, you can add a little bit of breast milk or formula to it, or water as well, and it'll give you a little bit more smooth consistency. Or you can leave it a little bit thicker once your baby is bigger to allow them to practice chewing. That's our avocado.